Well, listen, thank you very much, everybody, for coming out tonight, and particularly thank you to Rob Pritchard and Valerie Hellbrunner at Tories, who made this venue available for us and allowed us to have the event here. I tell you, there's a lot of different people in this room who come from all different parts of my life. It's kind of weird having everybody in the same room at the same time and just making sure that nobody should be maybe not talking to somebody else. But I think we're all right. And I tell you, I think we've got some liberals, some folk from my business career, and also some friends and so on. And I think there might be 2 or 3 Tories in the room too. So those checks meant the most to me. I just want you to know that.
It hurt them to rate it.
That's right. That's right. So I don't have a whole lot. I'm not going to keep you guys here too long. This is what I want to say. Just one is particularly for the non-political people here. So I want to tell you a bit why your donation matters. I mean, for those who kind of follow politics, and certainly for those who are involved, and those who just observe it, at its worst, politics can be petty, negative, and can accomplish very little. And people get very frustrated. And this is what, honestly, I've been involved in this stuff for about 20 years or so. And I, every now and then, reach a point where I say, I just want to walk away. It's the hell with it. I've had it. But what keeps me involved is that when it's at its best, I mean, politics can bring a lot of different people together behind a common cause, and it can really bring about truly transformative change. And if you take a look at kind of this example I always use, if you take a look at kind of Argentina and Canada at the beginning of the last century, right? They both started off the last century with great promise. Abundant natural resources, huge arable land, great potential, fairly well-educated population for both countries at that time. And if you look at what happened over that 100 years, the 20th century, the 2 countries ended up at very different places. And the opportunities, security, and wealth and prosperity that Canadians experienced simply did not come to the people of Argentina. And it is almost solely due to the decisions that were made by political leaders. So if you look at Canada, if you look at what we've got in terms of prosperity, in terms of security, in terms of opportunity, what I'd offer to you is that almost all of that has come about because of the decisions, the courageous decisions, of political leaders that had the vision and were bold enough to act on that vision. And that brings me to why, I've stayed involved in politics, why a lot of people in this room have stayed involved in politics, like Kyle have run for political office and will run again, right?
Absolutely.
Right? Is because we feel that we can make a difference, right? And it's also an acknowledgement of everything that we've got, everything that our children will have, and feel that we should contribute as well. So, if you're going to contribute, the one thing about politics that the folk in the room that are quite involved in the Liberal Party, and maybe the odd person in the Conservative Party know, it takes a lot of time, right, Dave? Out of your life. It takes a lot of time away from your family, away from your friends, away from your children. And if you're going to do it, if you're going to take a day away, a weekend away from your kid when they're young, from your wife, from your friends, you better be doing something that's going to have some impact. And that is where I think the Liberal Party is at right now, and where the opportunity with the Liberal Party is right now. That we've got as clean a slate as we've had in more than a generation, right? And you can look at where the Liberal Party is at right now and say it's perilous. And certainly it is. If everybody walks away and goes home and nobody shows up, then, yeah, absolutely, the Liberal Party could easily disappear. No question. But the opportunity comes from the fact that we truly do have a clean slate to recast the Liberal narrative, to take a look at some of the sacred cows and question them and challenge them and say, you know what? For those Canadians, not just Liberals, but those Canadians that truly are passionate about individual rights and freedoms, that believe in every individual there is tremendous potential, and that the role of government is to unleash that potential, to look for the barriers that are preventing that person, that individual, from achieving their highest possible potential. If you believe that's the role of government to do that, and in some cases it means government doing something, but very clear. In other cases it means government getting the hell out of the way. If you believe that, if you're liberal, and maybe if you believe that and you're not a liberal, I'd say you're liberally curious. There's a great opportunity to come forward over the next 2 years, and this is why I'm running for this position, is I want to create the most dynamic, robust debate about ideas on that foundation that I just described over the next 18, 20 months until we select our leader. And we're not selecting a leader until May, June of 13. And the reason why it's important, I think, with the freedom to kind of debate different ideas and face-to-face and online, and we'll create all of the different vehicles if we're successful at the January convention to do this over the next 18 months, we can truly recast what the Liberal Party is all about and what we stand for, and give an opportunity for everybody who's had an idea that they're passionate about, that they want to put forward, to give them an opportunity to do that through the Liberal Party. And I was talking to a few riding presidents in Nova Scotia the other night by a conference call we had arranged. And I was saying this to them, and one of the guys who's a little bit older than me, I told him, I said, this is like in the mid-'80s, after the Liberal Party suffered a similar defeat, maybe not quite as bad, but a similar defeat. And I said, there's all sorts of changes brought about then, and that's when I first got involved. I think I was about 14 back then or something. That's when I first got involved in the party. And this guy said, no. What you don't understand is in the mid-'80s, what we did was we looked at how the party operated. And we reformed the party and made some important changes. Don't get me wrong, made some important changes. But we really didn't refresh the narrative, didn't really look at what things we wanted to fight for over the next 5, 10, 15 years. What you're talking about doing, Mike, he said to me, is what happened back after the defeat in '58. And for those who know their Canadian history, Lester Pearson suffered a horrible defeat at the hands of Diefenbaker. It was a devastating defeat for the party. And in the ensuing years after that, the 2-3 years after that, the Liberal Party opened itself up, and all sorts of new people came in with new ideas and challenged the party orthodoxy around different things. And what came out of that was a liberal agenda through the 60s into the first part of the 70s, with bilingualism, biculturalism, Medicare, the flag came out of that, and a whole bunch of new people came into the party. And that is truly, and I said to him, I stand corrected, you're absolutely right, that is truly what our opportunity is today and what we should do. And if we miss this opportunity, I think the results certainly could be perilous, but we should seize the moment. And the second thing is that if we're going to do that, if we're going to pull all these people into the party, if we're going to reset the liberal narrative, if we're going to decide again what we want to fight for over the next 5 to 10 years and what's important to us, we better get more serious about politics within the Liberal Party, right? That if we're going to ask these people to contribute their time, their ideas, their passion to us, we better put together an organization that can propel and promote those ideas to Canadians and not do what sometimes the Liberal Party has done in the past, which is look inward and end up fighting with itself and talking within itself. We better get more professional about how we do politics and how we promote our ideas and how we reach out to Canadians, which means between the campaigns, the election campaigns, running a real campaign to promote our ideas and to get Canadians more familiar with what we stand for. And the third thing is, everybody in the Liberal Party always starts by talking about fundraising, right? And yes, money's important, and that's why I've been calling you guys all up trying to get you out tonight. So there's no question that money's important. But for all those Liberals who've been inundated with fundraising letters and emails, some of them from me over the last 2 years, know that what you really need to do is engage Liberals and bring new people into the party, get the Liberal Party talking about ideas that are relevant to Canadians, that get people excited, that get people's passions ignited, and that's when we truly will be able to get the resources that we need to win. So fundraising is not the starting point, but it is something what you get to once you get people engaged and you get the party starting to talk about things that are more relevant to Canadians. So that's why I'm running. That's why I've chosen to do this, and I want to thank everybody for their support tonight. I mean, the checks are great, but sometimes when you put your name out for something like this, the first thing you feel is, geez, I feel kind of all alone out there. So seeing so many friendly faces and so many people that I know makes me feel a lot more encouraged, and it makes me feel great. And my wife, I always use the adjective, my long-suffering wife, but she came out tonight, and poor Heather, she came out tonight, said, I want to come out and kind of support you. And I said, yeah, but you've got to bring a check. There's no exceptions. You've got to bring a check. So anyway, I thank you again for your donations and your support tonight. But I tell you, what I really want to convince you guys to do, or as many people in this room to do, is to join in this journey up to January, and hopefully the journey over the next 2 years, if we're successful at the convention in January, because I promise you, this will be one of the most exciting times in politics in Canada. So thank you very much.